How have you been since last week?
Oh, good. I've been pretty busy with school and work, but also I feel like things have been kind of heavy recently.
Heavy?
Yeah, I had another call with my parents and it just didn't go well. My father thinks that I'll come home after this semester. He keeps saying, enough of this American fantasy.
Let's see. I'm sorry to hear that. Even as you're saying that right now, do you notice anything inward? Any thoughts or feelings or physical sensations?
Yeah, I feel like my chest kind of feels tight. I try to explain that I want to finish my degree, maybe even work here for a bit, and then he gets quiet and the kind of silence that means disappointment.
And you don't like that.
Yeah, it's worse than yelling.
I know what you mean. You've mentioned before that silence usually means that you've done something wrong, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I was a kid, he stopped talking for me for days if I disobeyed him. So now even from another continent, feels just the same.
Sounds like there's still a lot of control there, even despite the distance.
Yeah, I thought that coming here would free me, but sometimes it feels like the leash just stretched across the ocean.
A leash. Do you feel like your success here is still dependent on his approval, even though you're geographically free? You're still looking for that permission from
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like I left Russia, but Russia didn't leave me.
him? Well said. What do you think is powering or enabling that leash?
Sh I think shame.
Shame. If you imagine your father sitting next to you right now and there was no threat of that shame, what do you wish you could say?
That's dangerous.
It's just an experiment. You can stop anytime if it doesn't feel good.
Okay, well, I'd say, Papa, I need to live my own life. You taught me strength, so let me use it.
Yeah, that sounded both powerful and loving. Same question as before. As you said that, do you notice anything? Thoughts, feelings, sensations?
Nervous, but not as shaky as I thought I'd be.
Good, good. Can I share something?
Yes, yeah.
So, in my own experience as a man who practices feminism, I've had male family members who don't agree with or appreciate my perspective and have heaped a lot of shame onto me as a result of that. It wasn't coming from me, it was coming from them. I found that shame can sometimes be resistance to pushing back against these systems that we grew up with, that we feel like are true, right? Especially early on in my journey of freeing myself from that, I definitely felt that shame leash on me, even though I knew what I was doing was the right thing to do.
I never thought of it like that. I just thought I was being dramatic.
I think it's just being human.
When I was little, he'd say, "Stop acting like a movie star." So now when I have big emotions, I just keep hearing that.
A movie star. How would you rewrite that?
Rewrite.
Yeah. Instead of movie star, is there a word that you can think of that might fit better for how you're feeling?
Maybe passionate?
Passionate. That's great. How does it feel when you say that?
Warm.
Warm. A lot of that warmth as we go through the rest of your week. Tell me about your week at school. You mentioned last time that you were hesitating to speak up in lectures.
Yeah, I always wait until everyone else talks. Then, if my idea still seems safe and relevant, then I'll share it.
Jake?
Yeah, so I won't sound stupid or too aggressive because Russian professors liked quiet students. Here, everyone fights to be heard.
I see. Yeah, different cultures define confidence differently, right? But your voice has value, regardless of any.
How do you believe that, though? It's not a switch.
True, it's practice. Sometimes we can use something called micro empowerments to practice. You ever heard of that before?
Not really.
All right. But you've heard of microaggressions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of the opposite of that. Small intentional things that we can do that change the way that we talk or think about ourselves in a more positive way. Would you be open to trying one of those right now?
Sure.
Great. Think of something that you've hesitated to say lately, either in class, in a relationship, anywhere. And we can kind of rehearse one of those here.
Okay. We were working on a group project at school, and it was three men and me. One guy took the lead and was mainly talking to the other two about plans for the group project. I had asked them what I could do to help, and he said that I can decorate the poster for the presentation since women were more creative and we would need a woman's touch. They said they were better and the research and analysis way.
I see. So that's another example of men deciding and you accommodating, right?
Yeah, I wanted to say I studied this topic in the past and wrote a research paper on it so I can help with the content too, but I didn't.
You didn't. Well, let's try it now then. Imagine that your classmate just said that. Look into the camera as if you were telling him through the screen.
Okay. I studied this topic in the past and wrote a research paper on it, and I can help with the content too, so let's decide it together.
Great. How'd that feel?
Strange. My shoulders tightened, like
Okay.
waiting for punishment.
Good awareness. Maybe that's the leash pulling, you know? Your body was expecting a backlash, it seems like. Or maybe that silence that we talked about a second ago. Take a breath with me and let's release that tightening real quick. So, what do you imagine your father would say if he heard you speak like that right now?
He'd say, "A man won't want you if you act like that."
And what would you say back?
Then maybe he's not the right man and that it doesn't matter.
All right. That's a lot of good stuff. So it sounds to me like you're holding on to two things in your head at once: respect for your father's worldview and respect for your own. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the thing is, no one can shape your worldview but you. Not your dad, not your classmates, not me, just you. What are you noticing about yourself right now?
I guess that I'm a little calmer. When we started, I felt trapped, and now it feels like the doors kind of cracked open a little bit.
Great. Feeling okay to continue?
Yes, yeah. I didn't realize how tight my jaw was.
Yeah, loosen that up real quick. Tension's a part of it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that silence from your father felt like punishment just in and of itself. I'd like to explore a little bit to see if that silence shows up at all in other parts of your life.
Yeah, when I argue with people or have disagreements with people at school and work, I freeze. I don't yell, I just kind of go quiet.
Yeah, so you use utilizing the silence now. Have you ever been aware, maybe even after these past few weeks of meeting together, have you been aware or noticed what happens inside during those silences?
Yeah, I hear a voice. Don't make it worse. That's my mother's phrase. She used it every time my father got angry. I think I inherited her survival tactic.
So, a sort of emotional safety silence.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And now the silence is keeping you from feeling heard, getting in the way of you sharing your voice.
Yeah, it's like an echo of my mother's fear living in me.
Mm. Let's do the same thing we did a second ago. What would it be like to replace "don't make it worse" with something that might serve you better today? How would you rewrite that?
Mm, maybe my voice and thoughts have value, so it might be worth sharing them.
Okay, that's a really good reframing. Would you be open to maybe taking a second to ground that feeling real quick to really solidify it in our minds?
Sure.
All right, do me a favor. Place your feet, both your feet on the floor, about shoulder length apart. Straighten your back, kind of feel like there's a rod or a tree aligning your spine right with the ground. Let your shoulders kind of drop to a relaxed state. Take another deep breath with me. Now, say quietly but firmly what you just said. My voice and thoughts have value.
My voice and thoughts have value.
All right. One more time. Now imagine you're saying it to the younger you who was just told by your mom to not make it worse.
My voice have and thoughts have value. Strange. She needed to hear that.
Yeah, and you gave it. Can I ask you something about your identity as an immigrant?
Of course.
Yeah, so sometimes women who have immigrated to the US feel pressure not only from their families, but also from Western expectations. The idea that independence means rejecting your culture in some way. We've been kind of dancing around that issue a little bit today, but have you ever noticed yourself caught in between those two worlds like
Yeah, definitely. My classmates say you're so quiet, you should be more confident. But when I do speak up, they think I'm cold or blunt.
that?
Russians are direct. It's normal for us. So I never know how to be.
How to just be. So both gender expectations and cultural ones kind of happening all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
In this country, assertiveness is encouraged, but only if it fits a certain feminine mold. Broadly speaking, that's a sort of the expectation here.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm soft, I feel fake. If I'm honest, I'm being intimidating.
Mm. So those are questions of how should I sound, right? How should I be perceived by others? What about asking the question, what do I value when I speak? What are some things that you value when you're talking?
Yeah. Honesty,
Mhm.
respect, purpose.
Honesty, respect, and purpose. Those are really good values. You can measure your words, or one can measure their words by values and not by others' comfort, right?
Yeah, that feels freeing.
Yeah. Would you like to try applying that right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick a topic where you'd usually censor yourself or go quiet or not make any more trouble with it. And practice speaking from a place of honesty, respect, and purpose.
Okay. Maybe career. I told my father I want to work in finance. He said, "That's no job for a woman. Men will never respect you there." I wanted to tell him he was wrong, but I didn't.
Once again, that silence getting in the way, right? So let's imagine that you're on that call again. Same as before. I'll be him, if that's okay with you. And you respond as you, but this time from that place of honesty, respect, and purpose.
Okay, let's try.
Perfect. Okay, here I go. Anna, you're wasting your youth. Finances for men. A good husband will not like a wife with a job like that.
Papa, I respect your advice, but I have my own path. I want to build something for myself. I'm not arguing about this.
That was great. Sounded good to me. It sounds like you honored him and yourself at the same time by saying it like that. So, checking in again, how did that feel?
Emotional. I could almost see his face softening in my mind.
Great. Because you were grounded in respect, right? You weren't being disrespectful, you weren't rebelling or trying to shout it down. I think that's a key distinction. Power doesn't always mean being confrontational, right?
Yeah, I like that. It's like strength with grace.
Yeah, strength with grace. That's perfect. So, final check in as we're wrapping up right now in this moment. How do you feel?
Peaceful, like the leash might not be as tight anymore, or at least how it was at the beginning of the session.
Great. One notch at a time, right? That sounds like progress to me, Anna. Sounds like you're starting to redefine your freedom on your own terms.
Yeah.
Well, we are just about out of time. Before we log off, let's close with one more sentence, a message that'll generally help carry you forward. What would you like to leave yourself?
I'm not betraying anyone by becoming myself.
Yeah, excellent way to end. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for your courage today, Anna.
Thank you.
All right, see you next week.
Bye, Kyle.